Have you ever wondered why some people walk into a room and instantly light it up, while others fade into the background no matter how hard they try? That instant spark, that unspoken pull isn't luck. It's the invisible force of presence, energy, and awareness. It's the way your body moves, the tone of your voice, the subtle confidence in your eyes. First impressions are powerful because the human mind works faster than we realize. In just seconds, your date's brain is evaluating everything about you. How safe you feel, how interesting you seem, and whether they want to keep exploring what it's like to be around you. Most people underestimate this. They think a perfect first date comes from fancy lines, expensive dinners, or perfect appearances. But the truth is far simpler and far more powerful. When you understand it, you gain control over how your date experiences every second with you. You become magnetic, not by pretending, but by being consciously aware of how you show up. Imagine walking into a space and knowing deep down that your presence alone communicates strength, calm, and warmth. Every movement, every gesture, every glance has weight. And the incredible part is, this doesn't require perfection. It requires awareness. It requires choosing how to carry yourself before a word is spoken. When you learn to do this, fear loses its grip. Anxiety fades into focus. You step into the date not hoping for things to go well, but knowing that you are fully capable of creating connection. There's a profound freedom in that. Your mind becomes a tool, not a trap. You notice details, you respond naturally, and you create energy that draws the other person in without effort. The way you present yourself shapes not just the perception of your date, but your own confidence in real time. Think about it. If you walk in tense, distracted, or self-conscious, that energy is contagious. Your date feels it, even if they don't say a word. But when you walk in grounded, aware, and engaged, the room shifts. People notice. Eyes meet yours differently. Conversations flow differently. Laughter comes easier. The nervous excitement of a first date transforms into something electric, intimate, and memorable. This is not a trick or a gimmick. It is the art of presence combined with authenticity. It's about understanding that you are more than the surface-level gestures or rehearsed lines. You are a full, dynamic human being, and when you show that confidently, naturally, and intentionally, it creates the space for real connection to happen. By the end of this journey, you'll realize that mastering this first layer, the way you show up, is the foundation for every extraordinary first date. You'll understand why some people leave a lasting impression after just one encounter, while others are forgotten. And more importantly, you'll discover that this power is within your reach. It isn't about impressing anyone. It's about stepping fully into yourself, radiating presence, and creating a magnetic energy that draws the right people to you. If you can grasp this, you've already unlocked the secret to turning an ordinary first date into something unforgettable, something that sparks curiosity, desire, and connection from the very first moment. This is where it begins, the moment you decide to show up fully, consciously, and with purpose. Fear has a way of creeping in before a single word is spoken, quietly whispering that you might fail, that you might be judged, that you might not be enough. It tightens your chest, tenses your shoulders, and makes your thoughts spin in circles. The mind loves to imagine the worst-case scenarios, but what if you could take that fear and turn it into fuel instead of a barrier? Every moment of anxiety carries within it a choice to shrink away or to step forward with courage. The difference between a forgettable first date and an extraordinary one often lies in this choice. When you release the fear that clouds your energy, you open space for confidence, authenticity, and connection to flow naturally. Picture yourself standing at the threshold of this encounter, not frozen by what might go wrong, but centered in what you can control: your presence, your attention, your mindset. Breathing deeply anchors you to this moment, reminding your body that you are safe, that you are capable, that you can meet this experience with clarity and calm. Anxiety no longer has the power to dictate your movements, your voice, or your energy. Instead, every inhale fills you with focus, and every exhale releases the tension that keeps you from stepping fully into yourself. This simple act of grounding rewires the brain, signaling to both your body and your date that you are composed, aware, and fully engaged. The science is clear. A calm, confident presence invites trust and draws people closer. Every thought that whispers doubt can be reframed. Every fear can be recognized and softened. What feels like weakness is actually an opportunity to demonstrate resilience. When you step into a first date with your fear acknowledged but not controlling you, your courage becomes visible. It shows in your posture, in your eye contact, in the natural rhythm of your voice. You become magnetic, not because you have rehearsed perfection, but because you have mastered the inner landscape that most people let run wild. The mind may try to sabotage you with endless what-ifs, but by consciously choosing focus over fear, you shift the dynamic entirely. You move from reactive to intentional, from anxious to empowered. Imagine the way your energy changes when you operate from this place. Conversations feel lighter, more effortless, more playful. Your laughter comes easily. Your curiosity feels genuine, and your presence communicates strength without arrogance. Fear no longer isolates you. It becomes a reminder that you are stepping into growth, stepping into connection, stepping into moments that matter. This is where transformation happens, when you realize that courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. Your date doesn't need perfection. They respond to authenticity, presence, and emotional bravery. By embracing this mindset, you are not just preparing for a single interaction. You are cultivating a way of being that influences every connection you have. Every smile, every glance, every exchange is amplified by the confidence you create from within. You move with intention, and every subtle signal you send resonates with magnetic energy. The power to create a first date that leaves a lasting impression is already inside you. It starts the moment you choose courage over fear, presence over distraction, and self-assurance over self-doubt. This choice transforms not only the experience, but the person you show up as. The one who can connect, inspire, and leave an unforgettable mark in the lives of others. Connection is born in attention, not in clever lines or rehearsed gestures, but in the depth of presence you offer another human being. Your date is not looking for a performance. They are seeking someone who can see them, truly notice them, and respond with genuine interest. Every glance, every nod, every subtle shift in posture communicates that you are present, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. This is the invisible currency of attraction. It is what makes someone feel safe, valued, and understood. When you cultivate the ability to focus completely on another person, you create an energy that is magnetic, irresistible, and rare. People are drawn to those who make them feel seen because most of the world is distracted, divided, and self-focused. Awareness amplifies your impact. When you pay attention to the small things, the way your date's eyes light up when they talk about something they love, the rhythm of their laughter, the pauses between their words, you communicate that their world matters to you. This level of attentiveness triggers a deep psychological response. The human brain is wired to respond positively when it feels acknowledged. You are no longer just someone sitting across the table. You are a force of energy that validates their existence in a way few others can. This is where authenticity meets strategy. You are not pretending to care. You are choosing to engage fully, because engagement is powerful. It transforms ordinary interactions into extraordinary experiences. Your presence is amplified when combined with curiosity. Real curiosity goes beyond surface-level questions. It is the willingness to explore someone's inner world without judgment, to discover their passions, fears, and dreams with genuine fascination. Curiosity is the bridge between strangers and meaningful connection. It communicates openness, empathy, and intelligence. When you ask questions that matter, listen with intent, and respond with thoughtfulness, you ignite a flow of energy that feels effortless and magnetic. This is why conversations on a first date that are deep and genuine leave lasting impressions, while shallow small talk fades into memory. You are creating an experience, not just passing time. Silence is another hidden tool in connection. Most people fear pauses, rushing to fill them with words that are empty or performative. But a pause allows space for energy to circulate, for thoughts to settle, and for emotions to resonate. When you can sit comfortably in silence while maintaining presence, you communicate confidence and emotional maturity. Your date feels it. They sense that you are grounded, self-assured, and secure enough to allow the moment to breathe. This unspoken power is magnetic because it signals emotional intelligence, the kind that draws people toward you naturally, without force or effort. The combination of attention, curiosity, and comfortable silence creates an invisible bond. It transforms the first date from a transactional meeting into an encounter with meaning. This is the essence of connection, being fully present, genuinely interested, and emotionally attuned. It is the energy that lingers after the night ends, the sensation that makes someone replay your presence in their mind long after the conversation has stopped. Connection is not built through effort or showmanship. It is cultivated through conscious, deliberate awareness and the courage to engage deeply. When you master this, you are no longer navigating a first date. You are creating an experience that imprints on the heart and mind, a spark that has the power to ignite something extraordinary. Your energy is contagious. Every subtle shift in your mindset radiates outward, influencing the atmosphere around you. When you carry calm, confidence, and genuine curiosity, your date unconsciously mirrors that energy. Humans are wired to respond to emotional cues, and the energy you project becomes the foundation for every interaction. Tension melts when you are relaxed. Interest deepens when you are engaged. Trust forms when you are consistent and present. This is the invisible architecture of a perfect first date. You are not performing, you are orchestrating an environment where connection can flourish naturally, without force or pretense. The power lies in your awareness, in your conscious choice to be the energy you want to attract. Every word you speak is magnified by your presence. When you speak from authenticity, your voice carries weight, warmth, and resonance. It is not about having the right line or clever phrase. It is about being rooted in truth, in the certainty of who you are. Confidence is not arrogance. It is the quiet assurance that you belong in this moment, that your thoughts and feelings have value, and that you are capable of holding space for another human being without losing yourself. When you operate from this place, your date senses it immediately. They feel safe, appreciated, and intrigued because you are showing them that attention, energy, and intention are not negotiable. They are your default. Physical presence reinforces every emotional cue. Posture, movement, and gestures are extensions of your inner state. Standing tall, sitting comfortably, and maintaining relaxed but attentive body language communicates strength and openness simultaneously. Microexpressions, subtle nods, and mirroring gestures create a silent language of connection that the conscious mind may barely register, yet the emotional brain absorbs completely. Every motion becomes a signal of care, interest, and attentiveness. This is the kind of silent, unspoken communication that makes someone feel like they are truly being understood. Presence without words can sometimes say more than any line ever could. Your energy also influences the narrative of the date itself. When you lead with positivity, curiosity, and emotional balance, the night unfolds in a way that feels effortless. Awkward pauses lose their sting, conversations flow naturally, and laughter emerges without prompting. The human mind craves comfort and intrigue at the same time. When you provide both, you become unforgettable. You are crafting an experience, not just participating in it. Every gesture, glance, and inflection is a brushstroke, painting the impression that lingers in memory long after the evening ends. Self-awareness is the foundation that amplifies this energy. Knowing your triggers, your fears, and your strengths allows you to navigate the first date with deliberate intention. You are not reacting to every thought or impulse. You are choosing which energy to project, which words to speak, and how to hold space for the other person while remaining fully present with yourself. This level of mastery transforms a simple interaction into a magnetic encounter. It shifts the dynamic from ordinary to extraordinary, from anxious to intentional, from fleeting to memorable. When you embody this, you are no longer chasing connection, you are naturally drawing it in. The power to create a first date that leaves a lasting imprint is in your hands, in the energy you cultivate, and in the awareness you bring to every moment. Authenticity is the heartbeat of connection. No matter how polished your words are or how charming your gestures seem, if they aren't rooted in truth, the energy falls flat. People instinctively sense when someone is performing, when a smile is forced, or when interest is feigned. On a first date, this detection happens instantly, even if it is subconscious. Authenticity is not about perfection. It is about alignment between your inner state and your outer expression. When your words, body language, and energy are consistent with who you are at your core, something magnetic happens. People feel drawn to it because authenticity communicates safety, integrity, and emotional honesty. Being authentic requires vulnerability, and vulnerability is courage in motion. It means allowing yourself to be seen exactly as you are, without shields, masks, or pretense. This does not mean oversharing or abandoning boundaries. It means showing glimpses of your true self in ways that are appropriate and engaging. Every subtle admission, every honest expression of interest or curiosity signals to your date that you are human, relatable, and approachable. Vulnerability is contagious because it invites the other person to lower their guard as well. It creates an emotional resonance that cannot be manufactured by rehearsed lines or superficial charm. When you embrace this, you are no longer chasing approval. You are creating mutual trust and magnetic connection naturally. Confidence grows from authenticity. When you stop trying to impress and start focusing on being real, your presence strengthens. Confidence is not about appearing invulnerable, it is about being comfortable with who you are and showing that openly. It is quiet, steady, and undeniable. People respond to it because it signals that you are self-sufficient yet open to connection. This balance of strength and openness is the essence of magnetic energy on a first date. It reassures, intrigues, and inspires all at once. The power of authenticity lies in its simplicity. The more aligned you are with yourself, the more compelling you become to others. Listening is the active expression of authenticity. To truly connect, you must listen not just to respond, but to understand. Every pause, every attentive glance, every subtle reaction communicates that you are fully present and genuinely interested. Your date senses this on a deep emotional level. The human brain is wired to feel safe and valued when it is truly heard. This creates a feedback loop. The more you listen authentically, the more your date opens up, which increases their engagement and emotional connection with you. Conversation becomes a dance, effortless and energized rather than a performance to impress. Authenticity also allows for spontaneity. When you are fully grounded in who you are, you can adapt, respond, and flow naturally without overthinking. Humor arises naturally, curiosity is expressed without hesitation, and moments of genuine delight emerge unforced. This creates an energy that is alive, unpredictable, and memorable. Every interaction becomes richer because it is real, not rehearsed. By embracing authenticity, you stop trying to control the outcome and start creating experiences that feel alive, magnetic, and transformative. This is the true power behind a first date that leaves a lasting impression, being unapologetically, undeniably, authentically yourself. Energy attracts energy. The vibration you carry into a first date sets the tone for everything that follows. If you approach the encounter with fear, doubt, or hesitation, those emotions seep into your presence and create distance. If you approach it with clarity, warmth, and confidence, you invite openness, curiosity, and connection. People subconsciously mirror the energy they encounter, and your internal state becomes the lens through which the other person experiences you. This is why mastering your energy before a first date is more important than any line, outfit, or plan. Your energy is the invisible signal that communicates who you are before a single word is spoken. Awareness of your own energy begins with self-regulation. Breath, posture, and focus are your tools. A calm, steady breath signals your nervous system that you are grounded. Your posture communicates self-respect and presence. Your focus demonstrates that your attention is intentional, not scattered. These subtle, physiological cues shape not only your own experience, but the experience of the person across from you. Emotional energy is contagious, and your presence can make someone feel seen, safe, and valued in ways that words alone never could. Mastery of your energy is mastery of influence, quiet, powerful, and magnetic. Every interaction carries an emotional undertone. The way you react to small moments, pauses in conversation, a shift in tone, a laugh, a glance creates a rhythm that guides the emotional flow. When you operate from conscious energy, you influence this rhythm rather than being swept along by it. Calmness encourages trust, enthusiasm encourages engagement, and authenticity encourages intimacy. These are not tricks or manipulations, they are natural consequences of being emotionally intelligent and self-aware. The more you inhabit your energy fully, the more your presence becomes a force that invites connection effortlessly. Confidence deepens when you align your energy with your intentions. Your intention on a first date is not to impress, but to connect. When your inner energy matches this purpose, every gesture, glance, and word becomes meaningful. Confidence is amplified by congruence. Your thoughts, feelings, and actions are synchronized, and this creates an unmistakable aura of strength and authenticity. People sense it instantly. They respond to it emotionally before they respond rationally. This is the difference between a date that feels flat and forgettable and one that feels alive, magnetic, and unforgettable. Energy is also the vehicle for curiosity. When your emotional state is clear and intentional, you can listen fully, engage deeply, and respond genuinely. Curiosity thrives in a calm, confident presence because fear and distraction no longer dominate your focus. You can lean into the conversation with openness, asking questions that matter, responding to nuances, and creating an emotional flow that pulls the other person toward you. The interplay of focused energy and curiosity produces connection that is effortless, engaging, and memorable. It is the invisible thread that transforms a simple encounter into an experience that lingers long after the date ends. When you cultivate your energy intentionally, you step into a space where connection is natural, magnetic, and unforgettable. You are no longer navigating external circumstances. You are commanding your internal landscape. Your energy shapes the night, the conversation, and the impression you leave behind. Every thought, every breath, every glance becomes an extension of your intentional presence. This is the hidden power behind a perfect first date. Not the words you say, not the place you choose, but the energy you carry. Master it and you become unforgettable. Not because you try, but because your energy draws others into the orbit of who you truly are. Vulnerability is the bridge between presence and connection. It is the moment you allow yourself to be seen without filters, without pretense, and without the safety net of perfection. Most people shy away from it, believing that shielding themselves will protect them from rejection. But the truth is that connection cannot thrive behind walls. True intimacy begins the instant you show a glimpse of your inner self, revealing not just what is polished and composed, but what is real, raw, and human. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is courage crystallized in action. When you embrace it, you signal to the other person that trust is possible, and trust is magnetic. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action in spite of it. On a first date, fear often manifests as overthinking, self-consciousness, or attempts to control outcomes. These behaviors create tension and distance, even if your words seem perfect. Courage shifts your focus from fear to presence, from performance to authenticity. When you allow yourself to act with bravery, whether it is sharing a personal insight, expressing genuine interest, or laughing freely, you transform the energy of the encounter. The room, the conversation, and the connection all respond to this alignment. Bravery is a signal of emotional strength, and emotional strength is magnetic. Empathy amplifies the power of vulnerability. When you combine openness with the ability to truly understand and feel another person's emotional state, connection deepens exponentially. Listening is no longer passive, it becomes active, deliberate, and transformative. Every reaction, every nod, every thoughtful pause communicates that you are not only hearing words, but experiencing the emotional undercurrent beneath them. This creates resonance, a subtle energy exchange that pulls two people closer, emotionally and mentally. Connection becomes effortless because it is rooted in the shared human experience, not in superficial conversation. Confidence and vulnerability coexist naturally when you understand this principle. True confidence is not about controlling perception or manipulating impressions. It is about showing up fully as yourself, embracing imperfections, and trusting that your presence is enough. Vulnerability complements confidence by adding depth, warmth, and humanity. Together, they create a force that is impossible to ignore. You no longer need to chase approval or validation. Your energy and presence create a gravitational pull that invites admiration, respect, and genuine interest. This balance is the invisible architecture of a first date that leaves a lasting imprint. Curiosity flows naturally from vulnerability. When you are willing to reveal yourself, you also create space for the other person to do the same. Questions are no longer tools to impress. They become genuine expressions of interest designed to understand the other person's inner world. Curiosity without judgment deepens emotional intimacy, and every shared insight strengthens the bond between two people. Conversation stops being transactional and becomes transformational, where both participants feel seen, heard, and valued. Every choice you make, the tone of your voice, the words you speak, the attention you give, carries the weight of your vulnerability. Each one becomes a statement of courage, authenticity, and intentionality. When you approach a first date with this mindset, you are no longer hoping for connection. You are creating it. You are orchestrating an emotional environment where openness, curiosity, and trust can thrive. This is the hidden power behind magnetic first encounters. The willingness to step into your full self without fear, without pretense, and with unwavering presence. Every moment you embrace this is a step toward unforgettable connection. Presence is the invisible force that defines every interaction. It is not about what you say or do, it is about the energy you carry into the room. On a first date, presence is your most potent tool because it communicates attentiveness, confidence, and authenticity without a single word. People instinctively gravitate toward those who are fully grounded in the moment, whose attention is undivided, whose energy is calm yet vibrant. Presence is the subtle current that makes someone feel truly seen and valued, and it is far more influential than charm, appearance, or rehearsed conversation. To cultivate presence, you must anchor yourself in the now. The mind is often the enemy of connection because it obsesses over what to say next, how to appear, or what impression is being made. These thoughts pull you out of the moment and dilute your energy. Presence demands awareness of your body, breath, and surroundings while simultaneously attuning to the other person's energy. When you achieve this balance, your energy becomes magnetic, drawing attention effortlessly and creating a sense of emotional safety that allows your date to relax and engage fully. Presence also requires emotional regulation. Moments of discomfort, awkward pauses, or unexpected topics arise naturally on a first date. How you respond determines the emotional tone of the encounter. Remaining calm, centered, and responsive in these moments demonstrates strength and reliability. It signals that you can navigate life's uncertainties without being overwhelmed. Emotional regulation is attractive because it mirrors maturity and stability, both of which are deeply reassuring to others on a psychological level. People are drawn to those who make them feel safe emotionally, and presence is the conduit for that feeling. The power of presence magnifies when combined with active engagement. Listening with full attention, reacting with authenticity, and contributing meaningfully to the conversation creates a feedback loop of energy and interest. Every smile, nod, and thoughtful pause reinforces that you are fully there, fully invested, and fully alive in the moment. The quality of presence is more memorable than the quantity of words. A single, genuine connection can outweigh hours of superficial conversation because presence communicates depth, respect, and understanding that words alone cannot convey. Presence fuels authenticity. When you are fully present, there is no need to perform, impress, or manipulate. Your words and actions flow naturally from your genuine self. Authenticity deepens trust and emotional intimacy because it demonstrates that you are comfortable in your own skin and willing to show it. When the other person senses this level of self-acceptance and clarity, they are unconsciously drawn to it. They feel safe to be themselves, and the exchange becomes transformative rather than transactional. Presence creates a space where real connection is possible. Every interaction is amplified when presence is mastered. Subtle shifts, a gentle gesture, an attentive gaze, a deliberate pause, carry weight far beyond their apparent simplicity. Each moment becomes charged with intention, authenticity, and emotional resonance. By embodying presence, you transform a simple date into a profound experience where both participants feel elevated, seen, and understood. Presence is not learned overnight, but when cultivated intentionally, it becomes the foundation for first encounters that leave lasting, unforgettable impressions. It is the quiet, unspoken power that defines a perfect first date. Authenticity is magnetic because it signals truth. People can sense when someone is hiding, performing, or trying to fit into expectations. On a first date, this energy is like a beacon, either drawing people in or pushing them away. When you are authentic, when you show up as your real self, without masks, insecurities, or pretense, you create an emotional environment where trust can thrive. Authenticity is not about perfection, it is about alignment. Your thoughts, feelings, and actions working in harmony. It is the essence of presence made tangible, the invisible current that makes someone want to lean in, listen, and connect. Vulnerability and authenticity work hand in hand. To be authentic, you must be willing to show aspects of yourself that feel uncomfortable or imperfect. This requires courage because exposure carries risk. Yet this risk is also where magic happens. When you allow yourself to be seen fully, you invite the other person to do the same. Conversations become more than words. They become exchanges of trust, empathy, and energy. Each moment of honesty, each expression of your true self strengthens the emotional bond and elevates the connection to something rare and unforgettable. Authenticity becomes a magnet, pulling people toward the depth of who you are, not just the surface. Authenticity also demands clarity of values and intentions. When you are clear about who you are and what you seek, your energy communicates this naturally. There is no confusion, no overcompensation, no guessing. Your words and actions are consistent with your inner truth. This clarity creates emotional safety for the other person because they sense that what they see is what they get. People are subconsciously drawn to consistency and reliability. It signals maturity, stability, and trustworthiness. Authenticity is not just attractive, it is the psychological foundation upon which meaningful relationships are built. The power of authenticity extends to your presence in conversation. Listening deeply, responding genuinely, and sharing openly are all expressions of being fully aligned with yourself. When your focus is on connection rather than performance, your energy shifts from trying to impress to being fully engaged. Every gesture, every word, every pause becomes meaningful. The other person senses that they are not simply an audience, they are a participant in a shared emotional experience. This energy creates resonance that lasts beyond the date, leaving an impression that words alone could never achieve. Authenticity also frees you from the trap of overthinking. When you are aligned with your true self, there is no need to manipulate, strategize, or control outcomes. You operate from a place of confidence and trust, allowing the encounter to unfold naturally. This absence of mental clutter heightens awareness and presence, making every interaction richer, more fluid, and more impactful. Authenticity becomes the engine of emotional connection, driving engagement, curiosity, and intimacy without force or effort. When you embody authenticity, you become unforgettable, not because of clever lines or calculated moves, but because your energy carries truth. Every glance, every smile, every word is infused with the power of alignment and presence. People do not remember perfection. They remember the feeling of being seen, understood, and valued. Authenticity transforms a first date from a simple meeting into a transformative experience. It is the silent, unstoppable force that makes connection effortless, magnetic, and deeply resonant. The more you commit to being your true self, the more you create an encounter that is not only memorable, but profoundly impactful. Energy is contagious, and on a first date, it communicates far more than words ever could. Every gesture, every tone, every subtle shift in posture sends signals that the mind unconsciously interprets. Positive, grounded energy draws people in, creating a sense of safety, warmth, and excitement. Negative, anxious, or distracted energy pushes them away, no matter how charming or articulate you may be. Understanding this gives you a remarkable advantage: the ability to influence the emotional atmosphere of the encounter simply by aligning with your own emotional state. When your energy is confident, calm, and present, you are not performing. You are radiating magnetism that the other person cannot resist. Emotional alignment is the key to this magnetism. It begins with self-awareness. The first step is recognizing how your internal state, your thoughts, emotions, and physical tension affects your energy outwardly. Anxiety, self-doubt, or preoccupation with outcomes leaks into the interaction in subtle but noticeable ways. By cultivating awareness and choosing to center yourself before and during the date, you reclaim control over the energy you project. This is not about suppressing feelings. It is about acknowledging them, grounding yourself, and directing your presence consciously. When you do this, you exude calm, clarity, and authenticity that attracts attention effortlessly. Energy is amplified by intention. Every action and every word carries a charge when driven by purpose. Entering a first date with the intention of connection rather than validation shifts the emotional dynamics instantly. You are no longer reacting to imagined judgments or outcomes. You are creating a shared space where engagement, curiosity, and empathy thrive. Your presence becomes intentional and magnetic, and the other person feels it. They sense the difference between someone who is present to impress and someone who is present to connect. Intentional energy draws people closer because it resonates with their innate desire for authenticity, safety, and emotional depth. Body language is the physical expression of your energy. Subtle adjustments, the openness of your posture, the steadiness of your gaze, the cadence of your speech, communicate confidence and attentiveness. Every movement becomes a signal that reinforces your emotional state. Relaxed, deliberate gestures signal calm and reliability. Animated, engaged expressions signal curiosity and excitement. When your body aligns with your inner energy, your presence becomes holistic. Your mind, emotions, and physicality all sending consistent, compelling signals. This coherence deepens trust, attraction, and emotional resonance naturally. Energy is also contagious in the emotional sense. When you approach a conversation with positivity, enthusiasm, and genuine curiosity, it elevates the mood of the other person. This creates a feedback loop of engagement. Your energy inspires their energy, which in turn amplifies yours. The date becomes a shared experience, not a series of exchanges. Emotional contagion is a scientifically supported phenomenon. People mirror the affective states of those they interact with. By intentionally generating uplifting, calm, and present energy, you subconsciously invite the other person to meet you on that level. Mastering energy is not about pretending or controlling, it is about alignment. Your thoughts, emotions, intentions, and physical presence must all converge to create a coherent, magnetic force. When this happens, the first state transforms from a nervous, uncertain encounter into a dynamic, engaging experience that leaves both people feeling alive, valued, and connected. Energy is the silent language of connection. And when wielded consciously, it becomes the foundation of an unforgettable first impression that lingers long after the conversation ends. Curiosity is a hidden superpower on a first date, a force that transforms ordinary conversation into deep connection. When you approach someone with genuine curiosity, you signal that their mind, their feelings, and their experiences matter. Curiosity is more than asking questions. It is about truly listening, absorbing, and responding to the nuances of their presence. The energy shifts from performance to engagement. Every person has an innate desire to be understood and appreciated, and when you meet them with curiosity, you meet them on that deepest level. This is where emotional bridges are built, where trust grows, and where attraction moves beyond surface-level charm. The psychology behind curiosity is simple but profound. Our brains are wired to respond to attention and validation. When someone shows authentic interest in our thoughts, dreams, and emotions, it triggers a cascade of positive neurochemicals, dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphins, that reinforce emotional connection. Being curious is not about interrogation, it is about creating space where the other person feels safe to reveal themselves. Every question you ask, every subtle follow-up, every moment of attentive listening signals that they are valued. This is the difference between a conversation that feels transactional and one that feels transformative. Curiosity requires vulnerability because it demands that you step outside your own assumptions and judgments. It means listening without planning your next line, without seeking to prove your worth, and without reacting defensively to differences. This openness communicates confidence and emotional intelligence, qualities that are irresistibly magnetic. When you meet someone without the need to dominate the narrative or control the outcome, you invite a flow of genuine expression. People feel this. They feel that they can relax, reveal, and be themselves. Curiosity creates an emotional rhythm that pulls people closer naturally, effortlessly, and meaningfully. Energy and curiosity work hand in hand. When your energy is calm, confident, and present, and your curiosity is genuine, the combination becomes irresistible. You are no longer chasing approval or validation. You are fully engaged, fully present, and fully invested in the shared experience. This alignment generates a magnetic field of attention and interest that resonates with the other person's subconscious desire for connection. Every nod, every responsive glance, every engaged gesture reinforces the sense that you are fully present, fully attentive, and fully aligned with what matters most: authentic interaction. Curiosity also amplifies storytelling and emotional resonance. By showing genuine interest, You create opportunities for the other person to share meaningful aspects of themselves, their passions, fears, and dreams. These moments are more than conversation, they are windows into the soul. When you respond with empathy and insight, you validate their experience, strengthening the emotional bond. The first date becomes less about surface impressions and more about the subtle, invisible threads of connection that linger in memory. Curiosity makes the invisible visible, transforming fleeting interactions into lasting emotional impact. Ultimately, curiosity is a choice and a practice. It is the conscious decision to see beyond appearances, to value what lies beneath, and to engage fully in the present moment. When wielded with authenticity and energy, curiosity transforms a first date into a profoundly human experience, one that awakens the mind, touches the heart, and ignites the possibility of lasting connection. By being genuinely curious, you become not only memorable, but magnetic, creating an encounter that lingers in the mind and the heart long after the final goodbye. Vulnerability is the bridge that transforms connection into intimacy. On a first date, the courage to show even a fraction of your authentic self sets you apart. It is not about oversharing or laying bare your deepest fears immediately. It is about creating subtle moments of honesty that signal trust, strength, and openness. When you allow yourself to be seen without masks, you communicate confidence, self-awareness, and emotional depth. People are drawn not to perfection, but to authenticity. They respond to the courage it takes to reveal real thoughts, real emotions, and real curiosity about another human being. Vulnerability becomes magnetic because it touches something primal, the desire to be understood and accepted without pretense. Psychologically, vulnerability activates empathy. When you show a measured degree of openness, the other person's brain responds by mirroring that emotional state. Oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, floods the system, creating feelings of trust, warmth, and emotional resonance. Each carefully expressed truth, each sincere laugh, each genuine acknowledgement of a fear or hope invites reciprocal openness. You are not asking for approval, you are inviting connection. Vulnerability shifts the dynamic from superficial interaction to a shared emotional experience where both participants feel safer, more alive, and more present. True vulnerability requires courage because it means embracing uncertainty. You cannot control how someone will respond, and yet the act of revealing yourself anyway communicates a profound inner strength. It signals that you value connection more than ego, that you prioritize presence over image. When you meet a first date with this mindset, you create an invisible gravitational pull. People are drawn to those who can stand in their own truth, who are unafraid of discomfort, and who radiate self-possession even in moments of uncertainty. Vulnerability becomes a form of power, quiet, magnetic, and profoundly human. Body language and micro-expressions enhance the impact of vulnerability. A relaxed posture, softened gaze, and authentic smile communicate emotional safety without words. The subtle alignment of mind, heart, and body reinforces the sincerity of your presence. When your internal courage translates into outward signals, the other person instinctively senses it. They perceive your openness. They feel the energy you project, and they respond with trust and engagement. The first date stops being an assessment and becomes a shared emotional dance, a meeting of energies that feels natural, alive, and meaningful. Vulnerability is also the key to creating memorable moments. When you share a small personal insight, when you admit curiosity about something unfamiliar, when you express genuine interest coupled with thoughtful reflection, you create moments that linger. These moments are remembered not for what was said superficially, but for the emotional impact, the way you made the other person feel heard, valued, and inspired to reveal themselves. This is the power of vulnerability. It transforms ordinary dialogue into emotional resonance that lasts far beyond the first encounter. Ultimately, vulnerability is not a risk. It is a gift, a conscious choice to step into authenticity and presence. It is the quiet courage that signals without words that you are fully human, fully present, and fully capable of connection. When paired with energy and curiosity, vulnerability transforms a first date into an unforgettable emotional experience. By embracing this truth, you create the space for genuine attraction, trust, and resonance. leaving an impression that is not fleeting but deeply imprinted in the heart and mind. Presence is the quiet force that transforms every moment into significance. On a first date, it is easy to drift into distractions, checking your phone, rehearsing what to say next, or worrying about impression. But true presence is different. It is the ability to inhabit the current moment fully, to engage with every word, gesture, and expression as if it matters infinitely, because it does. Presence allows you to tune into the subtleties of the other person, the inflection in their voice, the flicker of a smile, the depth behind their words. This level of engagement signals that you are not just there physically, but emotionally and mentally aligned with the experience, creating a magnetic field of attention and authenticity that cannot be faked or ignored. Psychologically, presence triggers a deep sense of safety and importance in the person you are with. When someone feels that your attention is undivided, their brain releases oxytocin, creating trust and connection. Every micro expression, every responsive nod, every pause to genuinely consider what they are saying communicates that they are valued. Presence becomes the vessel through which curiosity and vulnerability gain power, amplifying the impact of every interaction. It is not about saying the perfect words or performing impressive gestures. It is about the energy you bring, the focus you invest, and the emotional resonance you cultivate. Presence requires discipline and self-mastery because it asks you to quiet the inner chatter, the doubts, the insecurities, the need for validation. When you can do this, when you can anchor yourself fully in the now, you become magnetic without effort. The other person feels this energy, they are drawn to it instinctively, responding not to what you say, but to how you make them feel in that moment. Presence transforms ordinary conversation into shared resonance, where words are amplified by the emotional and energetic connection that surrounds them. Being present also allows you to navigate uncertainty with grace. First dates carry inherent unpredictability, pauses, awkward silences, or unexpected revelations. When you are fully present, these moments do not trigger fear or overthinking. Instead, they become opportunities to demonstrate emotional intelligence, to respond thoughtfully, and to create flow in the interaction. The ability to stay grounded in presence signals stability, confidence, and emotional maturity, all of which are inherently attractive qualities. Presence transforms moments of tension into moments of connection, turning potential discomfort into a shared experience that deepens engagement. Presence deepens memory and emotional imprint. People do not remember dates for the small talk or the details of what was said. They remember how it felt to be fully seen and heard. Every gesture of attention, every laugh shared, every thoughtful pause becomes a lasting emotional imprint because it is felt at the level of energy, not just intellect. Being present creates a resonance that lingers long after the date ends, shaping perception and attraction in subtle, profound ways. Ultimately, presence is a choice and a practice. It is the decision to be fully alive, fully engaged, and fully aligned with the moment and the person before you. When energy, curiosity, vulnerability, and presence converge, they form a force that elevates a first date from a simple meeting into a deeply memorable experience. Presence transforms connection from surface-level engagement into a profound emotional exchange, leaving both people feeling seen, valued, and inspired to continue exploring the possibility of something extraordinary. Vulnerability is not weakness, it is the hidden strength that creates unshakable connection. On a first date, the temptation to protect yourself is strong. You may want to present only the polished version of yourself, to hide the uncertainties and insecurities that make you human. But true connection is built on the courage to reveal even the smallest cracks, to show that behind the confidence and composure, there is a real person with real feelings. Vulnerability signals authenticity. It tells the other person that you trust them enough to let them see who you truly are. Psychologically, this triggers a deep response. The human brain is wired to resonate with honesty and openness. When someone senses genuine vulnerability, it sparks empathy, trust, and emotional alignment, creating a bond far more powerful than charm or witty conversation ever could. Being vulnerable requires clarity about your own emotions. It means understanding your fears, your desires, your quirks, and being willing to express them without shame. A vulnerability is not about oversharing or dominating the conversation with your struggles. It is about carefully, courageously allowing glimpses of yourself to be seen. It is in the subtle ways you share your feelings, in the questions you ask, and in your openness to being affected by the other person. Each moment of honest expression, each pause that invites response, creates emotional intimacy. It demonstrates that you are willing to go beyond superficiality, that you are willing to risk discomfort in order to connect at a deeper level. The courage to be vulnerable also transforms fear into freedom. Fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of making mistakes can cripple the potential of a first date. But vulnerability reframes these fears. It turns the possibility of rejection into an opportunity for authenticity, transforming anxiety into a deliberate choice to engage fully. When you embrace this, you free yourself from the trap of performance and perfection. The other person is drawn not to a facade, but to the honesty and emotional courage you embody. Vulnerability becomes a magnet, signaling emotional maturity, self-awareness, and the willingness to take risks for connection. Vulnerability amplifies every other quality: presence, curiosity, attentiveness. It allows for authentic laughter, for shared discomfort, for moments where silence becomes meaningful rather than awkward. It encourages genuine reciprocity, where the other person feels safe to reveal themselves as well. This mutual openness creates a rhythm of emotional energy, a dynamic that transforms the date from a series of interactions into an immersive, felt experience. People remember the moments when they were truly seen, when the walls came down, and vulnerability is the key that opens that door. Ultimately, vulnerability is an act of generosity. It is the gift of your authentic self to another, and in giving it freely, you invite the same in return. It creates emotional resonance that lingers far beyond the date itself, shaping perception and deepening connection in ways that charm, humor, or superficial attraction cannot. When presence, curiosity, and vulnerability converge, they form a force that elevates a first date into a transformative encounter. Vulnerability is the heartbeat of meaningful connection, the invisible thread that transforms mere interaction into emotional resonance, leaving both people feeling recognized, understood, and inspired to continue exploring what is possible together. Connection cannot exist without listening, not just hearing, but truly listening with every fiber of your being. Most people approach a first date with their own agenda, thinking about what to say next, how to impress, how to avoid silence. But the most powerful connections happen when you stop performing and start receiving. When you genuinely listen, you signal respect, presence, and interest. The other person feels acknowledged at a level far deeper than words alone. Neuroscience confirms this. The brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, when someone feels truly heard. That chemical surge is more than attraction. It is trust, safety, and openness. Listening becomes the invisible bridge that allows emotional intimacy to flourish. Listening requires patience. It demands that you silence the urge to dominate the conversation or immediately relate everything back to yourself. It is about being fully present, noticing tone, inflection, body language, and the small details that reveal what is not being said. This kind of attentiveness communicates value. It tells the other person that their thoughts, feelings, and stories matter. When someone feels deeply listened to, barriers dissolve, walls come down, and authentic expression emerges. You are no longer two strangers navigating polite small talk. You are two humans meeting in a space of mutual recognition, each giving and receiving attention that feels sacred. Listening also cultivates empathy. When you pay full attention, you begin to feel what the other person feels, understand their perspective, and appreciate the subtleties of their experiences. Empathy is magnetic. It creates emotional resonance that draws people closer and allows for nuanced, meaningful dialogue. Every nod, every reflective response, every pause signals that you are engaged, not because you are strategizing, but because you care. This emotional mirroring strengthens the invisible bond, making the date feel effortless, fluid, and alive. Listening transforms ordinary conversation into a shared emotional experience. True listening is active, not passive. It invites questions that deepen understanding, statements that validate, and moments of silence that honor reflection. It requires courage because it opens you to vulnerability as well. As you absorb the other person's truth, you are compelled to respond with your own authenticity, creating a cycle of emotional reciprocity. This dance of give and take ignites chemistry and builds a sense of profound connection that cannot be manufactured. Presence, curiosity, and vulnerability merge seamlessly with active listening to create an environment where both people feel safe to reveal themselves fully. When you master the art of listening, the first date shifts from a superficial encounter into a transformational experience. People leave feeling seen, understood, and energized. They remember how it felt to be fully received, how rare and powerful it is to find someone willing to stop, focus, and truly absorb their essence. This is the subtle, invisible power that defines the perfect first date. The courage to be vulnerable, the presence to be authentic, and the commitment to listen as if your life depends on it. In that space, magic happens, not through charm, jokes, or appearances, but through the deep human act of truly connecting, moment by moment, heart to heart.